You, as the viewer, got one of two available titles for this video. Either did Riot do Akali justice, or did Riot fumble Akali? These are actually posing the same question, just shifting your perspective towards one of the two results. And it's what we'll be seeking the answer to today, whether Akali was done justice or fumbled in her translation from League of Legends to 2XKO, the League of Legends fighting game. Now, I must say I really love Akali. I mean, I've played her post-rework, pre-rework, and I'm currently maining her in 2XKO. To me and lots of people, she's incredibly iconic. So naturally, this was on my mind far before she even got into the fighting game. The best way to answer this lies in exploring her identity in League and seeing if that same assassin vision was morphed into something fitting for a fighting game. We'll see if they were able to keep the fun and vibrance of her character. And at the very end, we'll end up exploring her visual to see if she still feels like Akali. Akali should end up as an upgrade in 2XKO, expressing who she already is as an awesome ninja assassin, and more. So let's take a look at her League identity first so we understand our baseline. Akali in League of Legends is a sexy female assassin. It's true though. She's from Ionia, the same land you'll find characters like Master Yi, Irelia, or Yasuo from. It's got that beautiful atmosphere and is as magical as it is spiritual. Long story short, Akali is kind of a rebel who left her ninja order and important mentor figures like Shen and Kennen because she didn't agree with the restraint they showed while balancing the spiritual and physical realm. She wanted to go about using her deadly skills to make a difference in Ionia the way she believed in. Wielding her kunai, shuriken, and kama, we see her restless mentality transfer in her gameplay design in League, as she's quite a selfish feast or famine character. Of the 5 different League roles, Akali excels in playing the mid lane because of her ability to impact the rest of the map effectively. As an ability power assassin, she's naturally going to fit a team comp better if she's going mid. She can play top for somewhat easier matchups, but she'll take on the potential downsides of map impact and less snowball, and even team comp griefing. As we continue though, you should probably know what Akali's League abilities actually do. Her Q button quite simply throws out some kunai. It's very important and a great way to show off her passive, which when you hit an ability creates this ring, which you can walk out of for some speed and an enhanced auto attack. This version of Akali's Q is super integral to her lane phase and really makes her game plan stand out. I think it's integral, but who cares? Hitting your Q then moving out of the ring, getting that little movement speed buff and smacking them with her enhanced auto is very satisfying and rewarding loop that feels powerful. You really feel like you're finessing your opponent. You'll find yourself thinking about how best you can access that loop depending on who you're fighting, and how you'll have to switch it up with your abilities. For example, if you're fighting a Jax, you don't want to just walk in range for your enhanced auto, as he could threaten his E ability to dodge it, stun you, and punish you. As for Akali's E ability, she flips backwards and sends out a shuriken, and if it hits, she can reactivate it to fly right towards her target. You might have seen the memes where she follows people that are like teleporting to actual Narnia. It's goated. Her ultimate ability is very assassin coded. You just cast it on an enemy champion and she dashes towards them. Then on recast, she does big boy execute damage. I truly miss the days where you could use her first ultimate cast anywhere. It was so fun, I swear. Akali's W ability though is definitely the most controversial and always has been. She pops down a fat ring of smoke, allowing her to just straight up be invisible. That's all you really gotta know. You can imagine how in lane this is just a very frustrating ability to deal with, as you cannot see her and she's moving towards you with some enhanced movement speed, about to hit her abilities on you and then just run away or go back to being invisible. Once again, this ability really adds to that feeling of finesse that is just a huge part of Akali, as bobbing and weaving out of invisibility while threatening your Q just feels great. Or the Akali player, of course. So now that we know what Akali does and a little about who she is, what truly is her identity in League of Legends? Well, squishy, single target, one-shot assassin who's hard to catch just about sums it up, but I always thought one-shot assassin to be a bit inaccurate, seeing as Akali does actually have to hit her skill shots to kill you. And the first cast of her ultimate needs to be casted directly on a target to unlock her execute, upping her time to kill and making her vulnerable to counterplay. She's not pulling a Kennen and actually insta-gibbing you. Kennen, my goat. Her E shuriken is also pretty easy to miss. And you still have to land her recast ultimate to execute to actually kill someone, so they can obviously just dodge it with flash or something. She's not the most easy character to pilot because of this, but plenty of people would still call her brain dead, as her invisibility and the damage she can casually dish out when ahead is pretty insane. Akali game plan wise wants to try and poke with W and Q until 6, then either ult in her opponent or roam to get kills around the map. She's a really good solo queue character in ranked because without the right team composition, heal, or coordination, shutting down a character like her is quite the task. You do kind of need that snowball lead as well against certain CC comps or backline squishies that are difficult to get to, as in those situations, Akali can find herself struggling despite having invisibility, as again, her time to kill is not instant. So that makes sense. Squishy, single target, one shot, kind of, assassin who takes skill to play and is difficult to pin down, as her damage and movement are one and the same. So what about her identity in the fighting game? In 2x KO, Akali really doubles down on that rebellious attitude, but we'll go into that more specifically when talking about her visual redesign later. Another thing Akali doubles down on is freaking smoking. She's the Snoop Dogg of 2x KO. Her S2 abilities all use some, whether it's her teleport, her Kama swing, her smoke bomb, her air spinny spin, or even her supers. Akali though is a character who doesn't really fit well on just any team. You really have to have a teammate that brings out the best in her. So yeah, I guess she's kind of selfish in both games, huh? The number one culprit for this really is the measly range on her kunai assist. You just gotta be mad close for it to hit. As you may know, a bad or less versatile assist in a tag fighting game means you probably want that character on point so they can use your other character's actual good assist. This is why a character who can fend for themselves or move quickly in and out of effective ranges like Ahri is a no-brainer. That's not the only thing that allows her to synergize though. Something like Akali Jinx can be pretty cheap because of the strength of Akali's teleport paired with Jinx's rocket, just to name one thing. She's also quite selfish though because she needs help covering for her weaknesses. She's a very fast character, but with such stubby normals, she can find herself running in and dying if she's not careful. That speed does help in punishing certain enemy mistakes from quite large distances though. Akali also has a variety of incredible air options like her kunai, double jump, and a huge ass jump heavy button. But to really make the best use of these, she needs an assist to either give her a conversion or to stop her from just dying from using it like her kunai. We've already gone over a few things, so it's time to provide you with adequate context once again while we go into more detail. So let's dive into what Akali's abilities actually are, starting with her S1 button abilities. I'll preface this by saying lots of her abilities change when she has smoke on the ground too, so we'll go over that as well. First is Perfect Execution, named and modeled after her League ultimate. It lets Akali do a super quick, pretty great range dash strike that she can combo off of with super or with some help from her teammate's assist. It's great for punishing things you're too far from or just catching people off guard with. You're not in the best position if it's blocked, but you actually do have some mind games if they don't know the proper punish. In smoke, it gives you an extra usage, which is great for comboing it better. As for her kunai, there's lots of different variations. You've got the grounded kunai, held grounded kunai, and of course jump kunai, and held jump kunai. These are great when mixed in with your other air options and of course assists so you can actually get a conversion from them. Otherwise, some of these variants can be kinda risky. In smoke, the kunai changes to let you teleport forward or backward in the air in between the 3 casts. This is amazing for catching people lacking during a mid-screen knockdown, and is honestly just super fun whenever you get to use it. Plus, she can combo off it. The held version in smoke pops her pretty high up in the air and releases a whole bunch of kunai. It's really nice for Oki, which is basically pressuring someone on their wake up. It also just covers a really solid amount of space. Now for her S2 abilities, she's got some more really sick stuff. By holding S2, she can put smoke on the screen raw. If she taps S2, she's also got this multi-slice with her Kama that goes into smoke on hit. It's important for certain conversions like her overhead, for example, if you have no assist up. It also gets a lot more range in smoke, which I think is probably pretty underutilized and pretty cool. Most importantly though, smoke allows this ability to fully convert into a combo because it ground bounces, instead of being a measly conversion tool for when nothing else will work. Also underutilized because it's just so slow, she gets access to a command grab in smoke, which is more likely to be seen in specific setups that obscure its usage. Then she has a teleport that can be done in place or forward, or even let her go straight back down to the ground if she's in the air. You can still be hit while this is happening, so it's best to be careful with how you use it. And in smoke, she can double teleport, which is pretty fun. Her final S2 ability is the spinny spin, which gives her some low-key mix-up, steals the corner, is a decent air option with assist, and can be matchup specific tech for airheads like Teemo or just catching people jumping. It's also a very common combo tool which has the ability to be super awesome, since if you hold it, it'll go a lot more forward in the air. This can be paired with some fun wall jump combos, which yes, she has a wall jump. It's not something like Warwick where he can just sit there and jerk it for a while though, but it's still really fun to use whenever you have the chance, occasionally being a pretty nice air stall. Akali's supers are this big shuriken that creates some smoke, a command grab that is jumpable post-flash, but is still really good as it can catch mashers, making it fun and cheesy. Or of course, it can just give you your damaging combo ender. Then there's her long-range ultimate, which just has a super sick animation. Riot actually keeps getting better with these animations, I'm loving that. Don't ever compliment Riot too much though, okay? Don't do it. To conclude and mention her super assists, this right here is the GOAT. She comes down from the sky like a freaking Wizard 101 meatball meteor and gaps the opponent. There's of course counterplay, but it's just so sick and cheesy. It's perfect. I love it. Now that we have some context, we can talk about her more in general. I haven't mentioned this yet, but she is squishy. She blows up in this game. On the flip side though, her corner damage potential is very high. Akali to me is a character with very defined strengths and weaknesses, as her low HP and stubby normals are meant to be made up for in movement, some tricks, and corner damage. I have some personal opinions on the effectiveness of this trade-off, and even more personal opinions on her smoke, which I don't feel like lives up to its potential as much as it could. I have an entire video on that if you're interested. I'll sum it up massively though in one sentence. She's squishy, and squishy characters are supposed to make up for that in their craziness, but it felt like Riot held back on some of that smoke craziness, as some of her stuff in smoke feels marginally useful or not that crazy. Like Smoke Kunai or her smoke run that literally passes right through opponents, not being able to corner steal. It makes them much more niche, just to name a couple random things. This of course doesn't single-handedly encompass my entire opinion on her 2x KO character or how well she's translated. So let's keep going. Identity-wise, you probably know now, but I'd call her a kind of glass cannon, movement-heavy, ratty character. You may notice with all her crazy tools, I didn't say mix up. That is because Akali is not mixing you up without help from her teammate. And even then, it's like debatable what we're calling mix. On her own, her offense really boils down to hit him or throw him, but with her teammate, she gets a lot more access to tricky cheese. Tricky cheese. Like assist call into teleport, which is super quick and super good. Another common option is something like calling assist, so she can go for a jump in into her natural double overhead, an empty low, or overhead into the spinny spin, which side swaps. This stuff is pretty nice, but of course it has its own defensive counters and counters right back too. Like baiting people into thinking you're gonna go for the spin by doing down teleport after the overhead, which produces a similar cloud of smoke in the air. To round things out about her 2x KO identity, I'll say while she is movement heavy, similar to what I said in the league section, I find that claim misleading. It's like, yes, she's a movement heavy character, but perhaps ratty movement and ratty options is a better way to put it. Because what these tools do is make her difficult to catch and punish, potentially leading to your own demise for trying to do so. So we just took a deep look at Akali's identity in League and 2x KO. So what do we think about this aspect of her translation? Well, there's some successes and some failures for me here. She definitely feels like an assassin gameplay-wise for 2x KO. I do think they nailed that. Her S1 ability, Perfect Execution, as an example, captures that sort of vibe, and when I press it, I really do feel like I'm going on a read, which is that kind of trigger pull energy assassins should have. Visually, it's pretty similar to her ultimate in League, right? Just dashing to someone with a strike, and I'm just glad they found a way to add it in. She even retains her feeling of finesse, with stuff like genuinely sick and difficult combos, and abilities that have satisfying feedback to use, like Smoke Kunai. I mean, pulling off, let's say, a corner wall jump combo is so nice after finally learning the ins and outs and mastering it. As an analog player, I literally had to switch to using the D-pad only on the specific parts where she does the wall jump. It's so stupid, but it's also so fire. Her kunai from League were honestly translated in a pretty great way, having a variety of options for throwing some out. And while I do wish for specific things, like I wish certain versions weren't so punishable, or were just plus, or were solo convertible, they are still a neat way to translate her kunai or her Q. I think what's especially creative is how they interact with smoke just from pure cool factor, not even from like usefulness. Held and unheld smoke kunai both feel incredible to do and really fluster the opponent. Even in the movement department, they did some cool things. That baity kind of ratty gameplay she has in 2x KO is actually a direct translation of how she is in League, albeit just not from the same abilities. In both games, she's an assassin who's mobile and can always go in on you and gap you, but needs to understand that she can easily get herself killed while doing it without some thought. One of the ways I think Shroud and Invisibility transferred quite creatively would be her teleport, as she uses some smoke when she teleports, clearly keeping within that same "you don't really know where I am" kind of mold. Her run in Shroud 2 passing through opponents is such a sick way to transfer some sort of Shroud invisibility, despite it being kind of on the knowledge check side. The more I seriously reflect on these things while making this video, the more I actually see the care poured into Akali's gameplay design. I think where the ball is dropped a bit is Shuriken and Shroud. If Shuriken was an actual move instead of just a super, it would be so cool. I mean, imagine if they block Shuriken and you could reactivate it at any point and go right to their face. Even just such a direct translation sounds great. As for Shroud though, I really do understand where they're coming from. Shroud is supposed to be the ability you think about when you think about Akali, so making Smoke, as I like to call it in 2XKO, a central part of her kit, making it interact with all of her abilities is a very smart decision. The issue is I just don't think of Smoke when I think of Akali's biggest strengths in 2XKO. I think instead about her ability to choose her approach and bait the enemy into an interaction there. There's a bit of a disconnect for me between her two iterations, I suppose. Although I can appreciate the Smoke and the Shroud's existence regardless. As I stated, there's some stuff that's actually pretty decent, maybe just needs some buffs, or is actually kind of satisfying. Overall, just like Akali herself in League and 2XKO, her identity when translated has some ups and some downs. But overall, I think they did a pretty good job. Gameplay-wise, this is definitely still Akali. Although something like her suplex grab and her super is a little out of place. Her being able to suplex Blitzcrank is so funny though. So I don't know, I kind of like it. To finally answer the question, no, Riot didn't fumble. She was done justice in how she was translated to 2XKO. There's some ideas that did fall through, but overall, this is a fun and cool version of Akali, which has some aspects of her League design greatly which has some aspects of her League design greatly expanded on in some cool and unique ways. Now, I did promise we'd do this at the end, so here we go. Akali's visuals are extremely important to consider in her translation. Just understand this is an entirely different lane from everything you just heard so far. I know this part is just gonna validate as many people as it will piss off, so you've been warned. I'll preface this by saying yes, she has Blood Moon as a much more faithful skin to her League version, which is nice, and why I only use that skin right now, but it just doesn't excuse a bad base redesign. It does put a little band-aid on it though. Just because you can use a skin that covers up what you don't like doesn't mean it never happened. Redesigns really should respect the player attached to said character. And Akali's one is the most different redesign in all of 2XKO. Her design in League visually is a lot more traditional ninja, while her design in 2XKO goes toward the modern ninja. Like a chopped Ibuki, if you will. She's got funky looking sneakers, a small mask instead of the longer one, which by the way, that to me was like such an important part of her base design. It was so like badass to me, and now it just looks like she's got on a basic face mask. Her outfit's also this like actual dookie color green instead of a more vibrant color of green. And the baggy pants are now turned into some yoga looking ass pants. And to top it all off, she's got a chopped haircut. I'm sorry. I mean, to me, that's probably one of the things that impacts her and makes her look like a different person the most, right? Sorry if you have an undercut. It probably doesn't look chopped on you, at least not as much as it looks chopped on Akali. The hair is like genuinely, like no joke, it's just too different. It doesn't look like her. And yes, I know that she had an undercut in a cinematic and it looked ass there too. I can't stop laughing while saying this stuff, but it's fine, it's fine. If you've seen the potential model we could have had, then you see how different these variations really are. This visually is a completely different take on Akali. It's like a Spider-Verse variant of a totally different person who became Akali. And for all I just dunked on it, you can still think the design is good. Character design is always gonna be subjective. But I think discounting the people who wanted Akali's traditional design and are a little bit hurt because of that is just poor taste to me. So yeah, that's my take on her visuals. I think it's butt cheeks, but if you like it, totally cool, that's fine. As a whole, I do dig this translation of Akali into a fighting game. I did grill the visual quite a bit, but it doesn't ruin her for me. As I said, I'm using a skin, and really it's not gonna be changed anymore. So I moved on at this point. I guess it bothers me a little though. Her translation does have issues, but it's overall clear that a lot of love was poured into her moveset. And honestly, I wouldn't currently be meaning her over the rest of the cast if there wasn't. So yes, I'm happy to say Akali was done justice in her translation from League into 2XKO. It feels like I'm playing Akali in a fighting game, and that is what matters the most. Thank you so much if you made it to the end of the video. I really do hope you can see how much I personally care about 2XKO and of course this character. If you're more curious on my nerdy thoughts on Akali's gameplay issues, you can go ahead and click on this video. I'll see you again soon for some more 2XKO stuff. Peace.